Alright, this is how to put a smaller sprocket on your BMX bike. Now, first of all, you want to calculate the gear ratio. So what you'll do is take the number of teeth in the front, which in this case is 38, and then in the back we've got 14. So 38 divided by 14 is 2.71. So what we're going to do is replace the front and rear sprockets, putting a 25 on the front, and then we divide that by a 9-tooth sprocket on the back, and we get 2.777. So it'll be pretty close to the same gear ratio, which means he won't have to spin the pedal a whole bunch more to generate the same speed, because this is a pretty good gear ratio for what he does. So that way it'll keep it the same. If you were to put a little tiny one on the front and keep the big one big on the back, then you'd have a super low gear, which would mean you'd have to spin your feet really, really fast to generate any kind of speed. So you definitely want to replace both front and rear. And 25 by 9 is one that a lot of people run, or this kid over here has, I think, 23 in the front and 7 in the back if you want to go super tiny. Putting the 7 in the back means that he can run a smaller sprocket up front and still have a similar gear ratio than to a 25 by 9. So let's see how it goes on. Alright, so we're going to remove the crank. There's this end cap piece which presses the crank down against the sprocket. And once that's out of the way, then you have this pincher that pinches it onto the axle. And then it should just come right off like that. You can see that there's a hole, there's a pin right here, and there's a hole right here, so the pin goes in the hole. And with the new sprocket, it's just going to be like that. You see that? So that just goes on the pin, and then we crank it back down on there, and it's all tiny. All right, so we're going to take the new sprocket, put the peg in the hole here. So make sure that the sprocket fits over your old axle. Does it fit? Yes, it does. And then put the axle. Put the pedal over the axle, making sure that, of course, that the pedals line up. Then we'll crank down the middle piece to press it against the sprocket, and then we'll tighten up the pincher bolt. I'm not putting the chain on it on purpose here because we're going to have to put a new chain on it. A lot of times when you buy a new set of sprockets, it's the smartest thing to buy a new chain at the same time, because the old chain will be kind of worn and it'll wear out your new sprockets quicker. But also, in this case, these are more heavy-duty sprockets, and so they're fatter, so we had to buy this fatter chain to go with it. That's good. Let's crank down tight this way towards the axle, and then we'll just crank down the pincher so it stays that way. Brilliant. And then of course we're checking it for play, and it is solid on there, so we're good. And then we just need to break the old chain off the frame and take the rear wheel off. Now for the rear wheel, you can unscrew the cassette there that has the sprockets on it. We just went ahead and bought a new wheel, so I'm not going to show you how to remove the cassette. We wanted to go with a much smaller. You can see that has 9 teeth on it, and that old wheel is pretty beat up, so we just went with the new wheel. This was about $90, $89 from Stolen. All right, if you do decide that you just want to change the rear sprocket, there's little bumps that you can see around here. So what you would do, you have to buy a special driver that goes onto a socket that goes in there and grabs onto those little bumps, and then just spin it and take it off. This is the chain breaker.
Breaking the chain.
All right, here's your chain breaker. So it just drives a little pin through the chain and pushes the pin out of the chain. So get it lined up and then just start twisting away. It is pushing the pin out of the chain. So I'm just pushing the little pin out of the chain. You can see the pin coming out. And once I've driven it all the way out, and unscrewed this. There's nothing holding the chain apart. Pow! Chain is broken. That's all there is to it, and that's how we're gonna take this new chain. See, this new chain is fat, like a motorcycle chain, but same concept. So we're gonna, if we have to remove any links, we're gonna use the old chain breaker to break the links free as well. All right, so now we get the chain lined up. So we've got one end of the chain with the pin link on it, and then I just pull the chain tight up above, get the wheel where it should be when we're riding, and then pop this pin out with my chain breaker and hook it up to the chain, and then we should be good to go. I'm gonna pop some chains. Here we go. So we pop that link out of there and just pull it apart. Destroy. I didn't push it hard enough. Yep, there we go. So that's out. All right, so now I've removed the chain from the front sprocket, so I have a little play in it. And I can bring the front and rear together and just hook it up like this. Make sure that the pin is in the hole. So on the other end of it, you want to make sure that the pin is mostly out, but just sticking out a little bit this way so it falls into the hole. And then we just drive it through with our chain driver. Reeling it all the way back this time. Lining it up in the thingy. Sorry I don't have better terminology here, but then we just push the pin through like this. Alright, so now we put this chain over the front sprocket. Just pull the wheel back a little bit so there's a little bit of play in the chain, and then you're all good. Just tighten up the axle nuts and take it for a ride. We're almost done. We just want to, you'll see that the brake pads are riding a little low on the new wheel. So if you've changed your wheel, you want to make sure your brake pads line up before you go for a ride. So we're going to fix that. Just grab the bolts here, loosen them up, and slide it up in the slot here.
Oh, hell no. Hell yeah, bro. Hell no, bro. Wait, is it filming?
All right, yeah. So we slide the brake lever up so it's right above the rim. And then tighten it up, or tighten it down, whatever your preference. Just make sure that it's contacting rim and not tire or air, then you're good. Alright, and it is done.
Filming?
Yep.